government wants to hold your identity, your taxes, your health records, and your fingerprints on one national platform. It has now been publicly breached 3 times in 3 years. This episode takes the pattern, the story, and asks what that pattern proves. On Saturday, the 18th of July, if you open the official website of the President of the Republic of Kenya, you are not welcomed by His Excellency. You are welcomed by a ransom note. 5 Bitcoin, roughly 41 million shillings, a deadline of 6 o'clock that same evening, and a threat: pay or we release everything we have on the president. The homepage of the highest office in the land had been turned into a hostage note, and according to the people who did it, this was not the first hello. In their own words, it was the 3rd time they had come, knocking. Now, the government did what the government always does, a statement. Don't worry, no sensitive data was touched. Our teams are on it. Those responsible will face the full force. Of the law. If that sounds familiar, it should. Because we have had that exact reassurance before. Almost word for word, twice already. This is the 3rd time in 3 years that Kenya's government has been publicly, humiliatingly breached. And every single time the script is identical. Breach, reassure, restore, and move on. So tonight, we're not going to move on. Tonight, we ask the question the statements are designed to make you forget. If this keeps happening to the people who want all of your data, what exactly are they protecting it with? Hope? Welcome back to the Kenyan week that was. Receipts of our vibes. Let's get into it. Let's establish the facts before anyone spins them. On the morning of July 18th, attackers took over president.go.ke and replaced the homepage with messages aimed directly at the president, a cryptocurrency wallet address, and that 6 o'clock ultimatum. State House confirmed the breach. The ICT authority pulled the site offline to contain it, and the National Computer Incident Response Team was brought in speedily. For most of Saturday, the site was down. By Sunday, it was crawling back, still missing images, still visibly stitched together. In the meantime, the outage reportedly dragged down other platforms citizens actually use, including the Hustler Fund portal, the Immigration Department, and the Nairobi County systems. Sit with that for a second. A single defacement of one website took public services offline with it. That tells you that these systems are not neatly separated. When one door is kicked in, several rooms go dark. The Communications and Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary went on air to assure everyone the agencies were, and I quote, the spirit of it on top of the situation. He said there was no evidence that anyone reached sensitive government data. No exfiltration, no loss. Forensic investigations, he said, are on... Forensic investigations, he said, are ongoing. And here's the first thing I want you to hold on to. As of this recording, no group has publicly claimed the attack, and the government has not attributed it to anyone, which means the official position is simultaneously that everything is under control, and that we do not yet know who actually did it, how they got in, or whether they only touched the front page. Those two things cannot be fully true. You cannot promise a house is secure while admitting you do not know how the burglar got in. Because the truly damning part isn't this one Saturday. It is what happens when you line this Saturday up against the last 2 years. That's when the pattern actually lives. And the pattern, my friends, the pattern is the story. The attackers said this was the 3rd time. As in, they admitted that this was the 3rd time. So let's take them at their word and count, because the public record backs them up. Strike number 1, July 2023, the eCitizen platform, the government's crown jewel, the single portal for over 5,000 services, gets hit by a massive denial of service attack, a DDoS. For days, Kenyans cannot renew passports, pay their licenses, or file with the taxman. The damage spills into the private sector. Mobile money services stutter. A major bank warns customers its app is down, and even rail ticketing takes a hit. A group calling itself Anonymous Sudan claims responsibility, framing it as revenge for Kenya's posture in Sudan's war. The government line in 2023, you ask? No personal data was compromised. Services are restored. Sound familiar yet? Strike number 2, November 2025. Barely 18 months later, a coordinated intrusion defaces dozens of state platforms at once. Health, education, labor, interior, the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, the Immigration Department, the Hustler Fund, Nairobi County, and yes, State House itself. This time, it wasn't about Ransom or Sudan. The pages were replaced with white supremacist, neo-Nazi messaging by a group styling itself PCP at Kenya. Foreign ideological actors treating Kenya's government websites as a billboard to hang their poison on. And the government's response, you ask again? Access restored, continuous monitoring in place. The breach violated the computer misuse, cybercrimes, and data protection laws. And, say it with me, those found culpable face the full force of the law. A reasonable question. Were they ever found? Was anyone charged for hanging neo-Nazi propaganda on the DCI's own website? Because if there was a prosecution, it was quieter than the breach, and that silence is itself a deceit. Strike number 3, July 2026, which brings us back to Saturday. Same presidency portal, same Hustler Fund and immigration going dark alongside it. Same reassurance that no data was lost. Same promise, the full force of the same law that apparently produced no visible consequences the last 2 times. 3 strikes, 2023, 2025, and 2026. Different attackers, different motives. A hacktivist, an extremist, and an extortionist. But one constant. The target keeps standing there with the same open door. And here's what makes it worse. The government told us in numbers how bad it is getting, and then acted like it hadn't. Now let's look at the numbers. Earlier this year, Kenya's own National Computer and Cybercrime Coordination Committee reported the scale of the problem. In just 3 months of early 2026, government systems, cloud infrastructure, and critical services faced around 3 billion cyber attacks. As in 3 billion, a billion with a B, cyber attacks. 3 billion. That's not a typo. It's not even my number. It's their number. The government's own committee is telling you the walls are being tested 3 billion times a quarter. And with that knowledge in hand, the crown jewel presidency site still got flipped into a ransom note by, as far as we officially told, an unknown party using methods nobody has properly explained. Now hold that reality next to the promise, because this is the same government that sold Kenyans a dream called the digital superhighway. 100,000 kilometers of fiber, 25,000 public Wi-Fi hotspots, a digital hub in every one of 1,450 wards, 20 million citizens to be trained in digital skills, over 5,000, later tens of thousands of government services pushed online. Digital identity for every Kenyan, cradle to grave. All of it wrapped in slogans. Gava mkononi. The government in your hand. One pay bill for the nation. World Bank money and private billions behind it. It is on paper a genuinely ambitious vision. And I want to be fair. Connectivity and digitized services can be real public goods. But ambition and security are 2 different budgets. And only one of them gets a launch ceremony. You do not get to stand at a podium selling a future where every fingerprint, tax record, health file, and birth certificate lives on your platform. And then, when the platform's flagship gets hijacked for the third time, tell citizens to relax because probably nothing important was touched. The ambition is the exact reason the security failure matters. The more of our lives they migrate onto these systems, the higher the stakes of the door they keep leaving freaking unlocked. So let's follow that to the only place it leads. If the front page, the part they can see, the part the whole world watches, keeps falling, what's your honest confidence in the parts you cannot actually see? The database with your ID, your KRA PIN, your health records. And that's not a rhetorical flourish. That's the actual question. Because not too long ago, this government signed off our data. They signed an agreement with the US government to hand over our health data. How safe is any of this? And here's a sleight of hand in every one of these statements. They keep reassuring you about things, the thing that was visibly broken, the homepage, to steer you away from the thing that would actually hurt you, the data behind it. A defaced homepage is embarrassing. It's a bloody nose in front of the neighbors, but it heals by Sunday. What doesn't heal is a quiet exfiltration of the national identity database. And notice, every official statement has been carefully phrased around what they can confirm was not taken, while admitting the investigation into how the attackers got in is still ongoing. You're being asked to accept a clean bill of health from a doctor who says he hasn't finished the examination. Bwana Kamau, I am running tests, but in the meanwhile, can we treat you for gonorrhea? No, but Bwana Daktari, are you sure? No, Bwana. No. Our tests are still ongoing. Bwana Kamau, come on, I am the doctor, you're a patient. Trust me. That is the language they want to spin onto us as citizens. And this is where the pattern stops being embarrassing and starts being governance failure. Because the response has never changed. Breach, reassure, restore. And guess what? Move on. There is no visible reckoning, no published postmortem, no named official who has lost a job, no prosecution the public ever hears the end of. Just the same 4 bits on a loop, while the amount of your life stored behind that door goes up every year. We've seen this rhythm from this government before, in far bloodier arenas. The cycle where a catastrophe happens, the state expresses concern, the story fades, and nothing structurally changes. This is the digital version of the same reflex. And a reflex is not a security policy. The laws exist. The Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act actually exists. The Data Protection Act exists. There is a whole coordination committee counting attacks in the billions. The architecture of accountability is all there on paper. What is missing is a part where it actually produces a consequence. Because a law that is invoked after every breach and enforced after none of them isn't protection. It is a press release with a freaking citation. So what should actually happen and what almost certainly won't? Stay with me, because this is where we separate performance of security from the practice of it. Let me be precise about the charge, because I'm not here for vibes. I'm not saying Kenya shouldn't digitize. I'm not even saying one hacked website means the sky is falling. What I am saying is a government's seriousness about your data is not measured by the size of its ambition. It is measured by what it actually does the third time it fails. And on that measure, the receipts are freaking damning. 3 public breaches in 3 years. 3 billion attacks a quarter by their own admission. A flagship platform hijacked for ransom. And a response so identical each time you could print it out in advance. The ambition got parades. The security, sadly, got a copy-paste statement. The digital superhighway asked Kenyans for an extraordinary act of trust. Hand us your identity, your money, your records, and we will keep them safe. Saturday was the 3rd time that promise came back marked return to sender. So the next time a minister tells you not to worry, that no sensitive data was touched, that the culprits will face the full force of the law, ask him the only question that matters. Which culprits from which of the 3 breaches have faced the law so far? And wait for the silence, because that silence is the story. They couldn't lock their own front doors, but they'd like to hold on to our keys to Singapore. Tafakari ya babu. They'll tell you the systems are secure. They say the same about our money. Watch what we found when we, pulled the audit reports right here from this episode. It's been DY from the Kenyan week that was. Stay safe, secure, and before you go on to connecting that laptop to see what the government is doing, be careful, they may not be as secure as you think they are. Again, be blessed, and remember, it's our responsibility to ensure that our friends show up, turn up, and vote when it matters. One term, siku zombo.